CEO School. Today's guest is Debbie Ternes, inspiring speaker, seasoned confidence coach, master certified fearless living coach, and mentor. She helps her clients find clarity, balance, and momentum to create their best lives, improve their businesses, make more money, and have incredible relationships. Her clients build their confidence, realize new possibilities, and have powerful transformations that impact their relationships, careers, and lives. All these things happen in a safe, compassionate, and non-judgmental environment. She is a mentor, venting partner, cheerleader, advocate, and ass kicker. And coincidentally, a fabulous friend of the show. I welcome her. She works with clients who are totally committed to taking action, making changes, and wanting more in their lives. Welcome, Debbie.
Thank you, Kelly. It's so nice to be back, and I really appreciate you inviting me to come back. It's just always so much fun to spend time with you and to be on the show.
Yes, I always have such a blast when we're together. Welcome, welcome. So let's talk a little bit about what we're going to talk about today, which is building trust in your client and vendor relationships and getting it done. So what does that look like?
So, getting stuff done really is, we all have goals, we have to-do lists, we have these piles of things that we want to get done. And sometimes we just kind of get lost in all of it, or we can't meet deadlines, or we've made commitments that maybe we can't follow through on. And one of the things that I have found that's been very important is building the trust with your clients and your vendors, right? Because those are the people, depending on the type of business that you have, those are the people we depend on for our revenue and our income. And even more importantly, for referrals, because referrals, as you know, those are the best clients, right?
And I would say oftentimes they're depending on you so it's important for them to feel like they can trust your commitments or, feel confidence in what you're telling them, all those things. So yeah, absolutely. So I'm sorry, go right ahead.
No, that's okay. Well, it's just really important, right, to have integrity in our businesses and, doing what we say we're going to do. And we somewhat have the expectation that our clients and our vendors are going to do that as well. It doesn't always happen, and we get super busy with our things. One of the most valuable tools that I like to talk about with my clients and to remind myself as well is the tool of renegotiation. So when you've made commitments and maybe you're not going to finish in time, or you need more time, or something's come up, having the open conversation to renegotiate an agreement is one of the best things you can do to build that trust with your clients and your vendors. Number one, they know that you're going to communicate with them. And that's really, really important for building the trust, right? For them to be confident in hiring you for these things. It's also a really great tool when you start using it with your clients and your vendors. It gives them the opportunity to do the same. It's a really great demonstration of what that looks like and the benefits of it, right? It's just that transparent level of communication. Because who knows, maybe the commitment you made just isn't going to work, period, and you need to change what the outcome is. It's a really great opportunity to have conversation around that and to really open that up. It just allows that space.
What I'm thinking about is every so often I'll have a vendor or maybe even sometimes a client who is virtually hiding, and I try to make sure with my clients that they know that this is a very safe space and that my job is to support you in where you are. And if you didn't get your homework done, that's fine. We'll work around it. We'll make something happen. But still, that feeling, whether it's a vendor or a client, you can get that withdrawal because they haven't done the task probably. You just can't communicate with them at all. And I believe what you're talking about is that it makes far more sense to come in as early as possible and have a conversation and renegotiate, discuss where the roadblocks are, and
Yeah, the thing is that the thing that gets in the way of people doing that, right, is their fear. The fear of being judged, maybe the fear of being seen as a loser or a liar, right, because they committed to something and now they can't. Maybe there's some shame involved in there. I mean, I have clients who don't do their homework, and here's the thing, I'm okay with that. If you're doing your best at whatever it is you committed to, for me, that's okay. Like you said, meeting them where they're at. And when people learn that there's safety there, safety with you and working with you, they're going to be more open. And the more they practice that, the more they start practicing and feeling safe with other people that are in other areas of their lives as well. I mean, it's a win-win, honestly. And again, looking at, where is the fear sneaking in that's preventing you from having the willingness to have the conversation? Fear is a very powerful thing. And so being able to just like identify it and call it out, super helpful. Or you can even start the conversation with, Kelly, I know I committed to having all these paperwork to you, and I'm really afraid to have this conversation, or I'm really afraid that you're going to judge me, or you're going to think that I'm not prepared, or blah, 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 right? Sometimes just calling that out in the beginning of the conversation completely takes everything, like all the charge out of it. So I really invite the listeners to maybe take that approach the next time they want to renegotiate something.
I love it. So I'm going to talk, because we talked just a little bit before we went on air about renegotiating. And sometimes that renegotiation is with yourself.
100%.
And I'm going to give an example. A couple of weeks ago, you and I, we belong to a group with Carla Frank where we commit to a 24-week program. And I'm going to say right now, it's a fabulous program. Yeah. So I committed to walking 7.5 miles, and I got there on the day. I was not prepared. I had, I hadn't done my homework basically. And so I made it 5.5 miles, and that's as far as I got. And I was a huge support from the rest of the group. It was wonderful. And go ahead and talk about, how that works as far as renegotiating your agreements.
I think that that's a beautiful example. And thank you, Kelly, for being so transparent, because what I loved about that situation was your willingness to say, I did my best. My body can't go anymore. And you really honored what your body was telling you. I think as women, we often don't listen to our bodies. And to have like the community, right? Like, okay, just take a rest, take a break, drink your water, breathe, rest. We're all here for you. Let's figure out a different way. Let's have a better solution, so that you can still enjoy yourself, still meet the goals that you had, and enjoy it, right? Because here's the other part, right? If you were to not listen to your body, if you were to have pushed yourself to exhaustion or dehydration or whatever was possible, right? That might have created a dangerous situation for you, and then put all of us in a compromised position, right? Because that might have been a scary thing to take part in. And what I loved about that was that you took care of yourself, and you also allowed the rest of us to take care of you as well. And that was a really beautiful part.
Yeah. And I have to say, the support was fabulous. I did not, just to bring it back around to reasons for this, I think when we sometimes make commitments to ourselves that we can't honor, it, at least in my case, it's sheer stubbornness. It's I can do this thing. It doesn't matter that I didn't train the way I was supposed to. It doesn't matter that I don't have the right, shoes, and I don't have sufficient water, or whatever the things are. I said I was going to do this, and I'm going to do it no matter what. So yeah, it's definitely humbling and a lesson for me to go ahead and allow you to allow me to stop after 5.5 miles and do the things, because sometimes it's not just not listening to our bodies, that's part of it, but it's also not listening to our brains.
Yeah, right. Well, and it makes it easier to get things done if we're listening. If we're listening to our bodies, if we're listening to our minds, if we're listening to what's going on around us, like what is really happening, right?
Absolutely.
That's really the thing that helps us get things done. And sometimes it's not about how can I get it done, but who can I ask to help me get it done?
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So I've got a couple of hour-long events coming up, and they're literally called Let's Get It Done. And I have that coming up on, May 18th at noontime Pacific. And it's just a 1-hour free event. We're going to talk about getting stuff done, some skills, some tools. I also have it coming up again on June 3rd, if May 18th doesn't work for you. On June 3rd, it's going to be at 11 a.m. Pacific. So you can find those events on my website, which is debbieternes.com. You can also message me on Facebook. I'd be happy to share any information. And I'm also going to post it in Kelly's group as well, so you have another way of finding it.
That sounds wonderful. The thing is, I think you touched on a lot of it. It's being able to make those commitments, being able to stick to those commitments, being able to renegotiate those commitments when other things happen, whether, and they do, no matter how, and they do, right? So I think it's super valuable, and having those sorts of events where people can come and get that intense education is really super valuable.
Sometimes hearing something from somebody else is the catalyst for you to switch something up, right? Sometimes it's just the word, sometimes it's just a phrase.
And I would really encourage the listeners to think about situations where you have, you may be starting to slow down, or you look like maybe you're going to be falling behind, and you want to be proactive about reaching out and, possibly renegotiating, but keeping in touch with your client, your vendor, whomever, your spouse, your kids, and, letting them know what's going on, and work on the renegotiating that Debbie's talking about. But also, and I'm going to bring it back home, Debbie has a lot more things to talk about. So, take advantage of her offer and enjoy the webinar to get more information that's going to help you with those relationships, because that is where Debbie is solid gold.
Thank you, Kelly.